Hey Frank, what's wrong?
Well, I'm headed off to San Francisco to see a friend, and he wants to know what time I will arrive. I know that San Francisco is 500 miles away from San Diego, but I have no idea how long it'll take me to drive 500 miles.
Maybe I can help you out. Do you know how fast you're going to drive?
I know the speed limit is 65 miles per hour, and I like to drive around the speed limit. Sometimes I go a little faster and sometimes a lot slower, like on the surface roads. So let's say my average speed will be 60 miles per hour.
Okay, great. Let's see how long it will take you to drive 500 miles if you go 60 miles per hour. We can use ratios and proportions to solve this type of problem. It won't be hard.
Ratios and what?
Ratios and proportions. Let me explain. Ratios are a comparison of two numbers. For example, when you cook rice, you boil 1 cup of rice for every 2 cups of water. So the ratio between cups of water and cups of rice is 2 to 1. This ratio can be written as a fraction with a colon or with the word 2. So what you need to understand about ratios is that the two numbers are linked. As you increase the amount of rice you want to cook, you also have to increase the amount of water. For example, let's say you want to cook about 2 cups of rice. Then you'll need to use 4 cups of water.
I don't really cook all that much. Are there any other examples of ratios?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. We use ratios to convert distances, like inches to feet, to convert currency, like dollars to pesos. When we work and get paid, like dollars per hour, and when you buy gas, dollars per gallon. Those are just a few examples.
So in my situation, I'd be comparing miles to hours?
That's right, miles per hour. Now, when we say that two ratios are equal, it's called a proportion. They look like this.
Okay. I think I understand, but how can I use ratios and proportions to figure out how long it'll take me to drive from San Diego to San Francisco?
Frankie, hold on. I was just getting there. The first thing you want to do when you have a ratio is to set up a proportion grid like this. On the first line, I'm going to write what I'm comparing. In our case, we're comparing miles and hours. So I'll write miles on the top of the first line and hours on the bottom. I want to write the words so my ratios are organized. On the top, I'll write all my miles, and on the bottom, all of my hours. Now I'm going to write the first ratio. You'll be driving 60 miles an hour, so I put 60 on the top because that's where my miles go. And on the bottom, I'm going to write 1 for 1 hour. Now this ratio says you'll drive 60 miles every hour. What are we trying to figure out?
Well, we want to know how long it is going to take me to drive 500 miles.
That's right. So for my second ratio, I put 500 miles on the top. And since you want to know how many hours it'll take you, I put an X for hours. I put an X knowing that this is what we were trying to figure out. We don't know what X is. Now that you have your proportions set up, one way you can solve for X is to use cross multiplication. So start with a variable X. Another way that you can write 60 times is 60x. Now drop down your equal sign and then multiply the two other numbers. 500 times 1 is 500. I'll put that here. Now I want to isolate the variable by moving the 60 to the other side of the equal sign. So right now it says 60 times x. To move the 60, I'm going to do the inverse operation or opposite operation of multiplication, which is division. So I'll divide by 60 on both sides of the equation. 60 divided by 60 equals 1, which leaves me with 1x, or just x if you like. 500 divided by 60 is 8.3. So we know that x equals 8.3, or we could say x equals 8 3/10, which means you'll be there in 8 hours and 3/10.
Great. But how many minutes is 3/10 of an hour?
Wow, good question. Well, an hour is 60 minutes, and if you break 60 minutes up into 10 equal parts, each tenth would be 6 minutes. I know this because 60 divided by 10 equals 6. Now, if 1/10 equals 6 minutes, then 3/10 equals 18. So you'll be there in 8 hours and 18 minutes.
Thanks so much for explaining this, Tina. Now I can call my friend and let him know how long it will take me. I have to hit the road. Bye.
See you later, Frank. Have a great trip.